And the 50% blood quantum also applies to what is mistermed as ceded lands that the state of Hawaii has control of right now. The lands were not ceded. The government of Hawaii never freely relinquished these lands to the United States, which so supposedly ceded it back to the state of Hawaii government.
Ceded means to give up.
To give up.
Yes.
Freely, yeah. It Yes. was never ceded. It was, the land was stolen
Right.
from the kingdom of
Right.
Hawaii, the people of Hawaii.
So who called it ceded? Was it the Hawaiians or was it the foreign culture that came in that stole it?
Yeah, the federal government actually called it ceded. They took control by military force
Yep.
of those lands, and then they led this unlawful process to create Hawaii into his false situation where we're so-called state now. And in that process, it was not moved forward by like the United Nations or some unattached entity, but it was pushed forward by the United States themselves, and there was not any oversight provided by any unattached entity like the United Nations or anybody else. The whole thing was the United States driven. They even allowed the United States military stationed in Hawaii at the time to participate in the vote. So the whole process was illegal.
Wait a minute, let's back up. So you're telling me that they allowed the U.S. military to participate in that vote?
Right,
Well, isn't that like the fox guarding the hen house?
exactly.
Yeah.
Fox raiding the hen house, that's what it was.
Yes. Okay. I also want to come back to a couple of things you said a couple of moments ago because to me, they're really important points. Number one is that blood quantum was introduced by the Hawaiian Homelands Commission, yes?
Right.
Okay. And that was and is a state entity.
Right.
So even though it has the word Hawaiian in it, at first glance, a lot of people would think that's a Hawaiian entity or a native Hawaiian entity, but it's not, is it?
Yeah, driven by the unlawful government.
It's driven by the state of Hawaii,
Right.
which in turn is driven by Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
the occupiers of
And then,
Hawaii.
right, the United States federal government. And I see the 50% requirement in a little bit different light too, as far as the Hawaiian homelands go. Back in 1929, when the homelands was set aside, a lot of Hawaiians were dying, and there was a lot of intermarriage and dilution of a lot of the race was being diluted by intermarriage with different races. So I believe they saw in the future that the 50% or more Hawaiians would die out or be diluted to the point where there wouldn't be any more 50% or more Hawaiians.
That's what they were hoping for.
Yeah, and I believe that's why we have so few Hawaiians on those lands today, and why there's so many people waiting on the list and dying on the list, waiting to be awarded their homeland. There's so many people with hope. They have a lot of hope. That's the only way they're ever going to get any land or anything is because of the economy we've been forced into, and Hawaiian community not being accustomed to living in this monetary type economy.
Okay, so you talked a couple of minutes ago about a family and some of the family Ohana members having 50% or more blood quantum and some less than 50%. The image that came to my mind was of the Berlin Wall back during the Cold War. And it divided people. Some people were on the east side and they were not entitled to live under so-called democracy, and the other side they were. So you had the haves and the have-nots. Really, it's a situation of divide and conquer, isn't it?
Exactly. They combined as one people. The Native Hawaiians and the non-Hawaiian citizens of the kingdom would probably be a very imposing force. But if you can divide us up by splitting the Hawaiians in half by using that blood quantum, and then further splitting the citizens of the kingdom up by not even recognizing the non-Hawaiian citizens of the kingdom, they would divide us up into three categories rather than just having that one imposing force facing them. And because of the blood quantum, some people qualify and some not. They create infighting within the Hawaiian community.
Yes.
And the Native Hawaiian, non-Native Hawaiians, they feel totally left out of the process. So a lot of them can't support what the Hawaiians are doing because they've been totally cut out of the picture. So it's a total divide and conquer technique.
Exactly.
Yeah,
good. All right, so now let's talk about blood quantum again, but let's talk about it from the standpoint of how it should be structured. Tell me how you view blood quantum. Is it a concept that should be thrown out the window entirely? in terms of the cocoa, the blood running through people's veins, where should the line be drawn? Should there be a line drawn? What do you see as Pono here in this issue?
As far as the blood, I don't think there should be any line drawn. But so many people have come to expect that they're entitled to something. That the United States needs to dump some money into this Department of Hawaiian Homeland's program and put these people on the land now. You know, they've been giving nickel and diming this thing, trying to, I guess, hoping the Hawaiians would die out so they wouldn't have to turn these lands over to the Hawaiians. But I guess we surprised them. We multiplying and we actually expanding in size and numbers. I think there's something like 6,000 people on the land and like 18,000 people on the waiting list. So since 1921, you only got 6,000 people on. I think everybody should have been on the land by now. Of
course.
And not having kupuna die on the waiting list, people getting turned down because they can't qualify for loans, and placing these United States regulations on what kind of structure you can build and things on your property.
So what you're saying then is that if a person has one drop of Hawaiian blood in them, they're Native Hawaiian, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I seen the difference between 99% and 1%. They got Hawaiian, they have an ancestor that was
exactly.
Including I include the non-Hawaiian citizens as a Hawaiian.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, okay.
But just for the people, you're getting ahead of me here, Isaac. But just for the people in terms of with blood, if they have one drop of blood, then they should be Native Hawaiian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Another way to say it is the only people that should decide who is Native Hawaiian are the Kanaka Maoli, the Native Hawaiian, not anybody else.
Nobody can make the decision up for the people that are in question. Only we have that right to make the decision. And only we have the right to any form of sovereignty we want to seek or anything that affects us. Only we have the right to make that decision.
All right, good. Now let's talk about the people who have no Native Hawaiian blood, no Kanaka Maoli blood. Tell us a little bit about the Hawaiian Nation when it was a sovereign nation, recognized with many, many treaties with countries all over the world prior to the illegal overthrow. Tell us a little bit about the population. Was it a multiracial country? Talk a little bit about that for us. What did it look like back then?
Yeah, prior to the unlawful military force coming into Hawaii and displacing our government, we had a lot of the sugar planters the business was going on and stuff, and they were bringing in a lot of immigrants from foreign countries, from Japan and things. A lot of these different nationalities were coming here, and they became citizens of the Kingdom of Hawaii.
So they became Hawaiian nationals.
Hawaiian nationals.
Yes. Okay, very good.
They were Hawaiian national, although they had not even one drop of Hawaiian blood.
Okay.
They were considered Hawaiian nationals because they swore their allegiance to the government of Hawaii.
So they were called Hawaiians, just like residents of California today are called Californians.
Correct.
Hawaiians in the term of their nationality, not in terms of their racial makeup.
Right.
Good.
So the race was never a question until the United States forced that on the Hawaiians.
Exactly. Exactly. Go ahead. So tell us a little bit more about what it looked like back then in terms of the makeup of the nation.
The makeup of the nation was, like I said, a multiracial nation. We had Japanese, Chinese, just about every nationality that's here today. And there's really no discrimination between what race you were or anything. Anybody could become a national of the kingdom as long as you swore your allegiance. And I guess you pledged your allegiance to the government and you swore to obey their laws and everything.
People got along.
Yeah, people got along and people shared. I love to listen to the real elder kupunas that are still alive, the ones in the 80s and 90s, about how everybody shared. The Filipinos shared, the Japanese, the Hawaiians, they all shared things. But the United States, I guess, for some reason, they decided to try and divide all that warm, friendly, sharing type lifestyle, because our lifestyle was more of a bartering system where we traded for goods with other people, and trading doesn't generate taxes for the government, and that's why they want to force us into this dollar type exchange.
Well, again, divide and conquer.
Yeah, exactly.